This is a new SEC podcast. We're previewing number 10 Georgia traveling to Auburn to take on Auburn. 7:30 p.m. prime time on ABC. Georgia opens up as a 3.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 46.5. Both these quarterbacks have displayed some heavy rushing abilities. Some would say one has a better passing arm. Hunter, what are we thinking in this game for Georgia versus Auburn, one of the oldest rivalries in the SEC?
I think it's a close matchup, honestly, like a really close matchup. I'd say some of the preseason optimism for Auburn has left the building. But if there's a game to steal right now on their schedule, I think it's this one. I think it could be this Auburn team hosting Georgia in Jordan-Hare. There's been some problems with Auburn to this point. They had a bye week to fix a lot of it. I think that things just weren't clicking. The coaching part wasn't great. The play calling, the offense built for Arnold kind of sucks. The weapons are great. I think there's a lot of frustrations that a bye week is the perfect remedy for. And now you get a home game against a Georgia team that's vulnerable. So, I think this game is going to be a really, really good one.
I think it could definitely be a good one. And I think this is an opportunity, like you said, for Auburn to kind of build on what they do well. So running the football, using Jackson Arnold. I'm excited to see how Arnold can kind of develop this season in terms of his passing game. Like, is he starting to read the reads better? Is he getting the ball out of his hands earlier? I know he's one of the more sacked quarterbacks in the conference right now. Ultimately, they have the most sacks in the conference, 21 times he's touched the dirt. So they're playing a Georgia team that just struggled in the pass rush. I'm curious how Georgia's defense can look against this offensive line with Auburn and what Jackson Arnold was able to do in the pocket.
Yeah, the teams that Auburn suffered some O-line lapses against were really good pass rushing teams. Oklahoma, great pass rushing team. A&M, also good. Could you credit those teams, or do you knock Auburn's O-line? This Georgia team hasn't been as effective on the pass rush. I think pretty vanilla pass rush. They're not really bringing a lot of interesting new looks that are tricking anybody, and it's worked against them. They gave Ty Simpson a lot of time. They had the Kentucky game, but that's a Kentucky team that's going to struggle right now against anyone. It'll be interesting to see if some of what was holding Auburn back was the teams that they were playing, and if Georgia can capitalize on that. That's a huge one in this. You talked about Jackson Arnold becoming a better passer. I think that maybe some of these play calling statistics and the way that they were play calling these games, they were asking him to pass too much. If you run the ball, you have running backs for a reason. It doesn't have to be Jackson Arnold throwing or Jackson Arnold running. You got running backs, get involved. So I think that there's an opportunity in the bye week that Auburn fixed some stuff. But, Georgia already, accounted for one loss on the season. Hard to see them losing another one with just the historics around a Georgia program.
Yeah. Kirby was getting pretty fired up on the sidelines, even against Kentucky, even though they were winning pretty handedly. And, I think in this game for Georgia, controlling what they can control, I expect this offense to continue to improve. They're going to run the football with Chauncey Bowens. They're going to use Cash. They're going to use Gunnar Stockton. We're seeing more from Gunnar on the ground than we did last season. I know we only played a couple playoff games, but 5 touchdowns in the year. Different dynamic than what they had from Carson Beck. On the other side, like you said, I want to see more from the receiving core for Auburn. If I'm Auburn, I'm watching the Alabama tape and I'm saying, okay, Ryan Williams had a couple chances to get some touchdowns. Isaiah Horton was doing his thing and Jeremy Bernard was doing his thing. So the blueprint is right there. That should be, if you want to beat Georgia, that's the blueprint.
And they're not worse receivers at Auburn.
No.
They're good receivers, They're receivers who are being underutilized. Auburn, you almost got to worry about losing these guys at this point because you're not.
You put Eric Singleton right now on Texas A&M, he's doing exactly what Mario Craver's doing.
They have. You look at Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton. Those guys, they're not going to want to play for a program that's not getting them touches. Get them touches. Now it doesn't come behind 40 passing attempts for Jackson Arnold. It comes behind a little bit of varied play calling. I wouldn't say that Hugh Freeze's job is on the line in this game. I don't think this is a make or break. He's going to be, fired after this game. But I do think coming off of a bye, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to wear that point out, but he's cooking something. There's going to be something cooking to save his job without taking it to that extreme. He's playing for what this team can do. They can't lose another game right now this season.
No.
This would be the one. You got a home game. You only have so many of those. I'm not necessarily sold on the Georgia offense right now. I don't think that right now Georgia's doing anything exceptionally well. I think the linebacker play is really solid. I think that that's the key part of this. That doesn't work in Auburn's favor. They're able to track down a lot of plays, stopping them from getting open. They stopped the run pretty well against Alabama. They did great at stopping the run against Kentucky. Probably the only team right now to stop Seth McGowan. I look at Auburn at this point on the season and what happened in their games. It took Texas A&M down to the wire, in that game to win, by 6 points. It took SEC officiating to come out and make a statement about the Oklahoma game in a one-score game that, they made an incorrect call on an illegal trick play that scored points. These are 2 plays back and forth against top 10 teams on the road that if Auburn had those back or had one more thing flip their way, they could be in the top 10 themselves. So I'm now looking at that. I'm looking at this game. I like Auburn to win this game.
Ooh, okay. And major respect to those call outs. I think big media, we're not big media. We're growing, we're sending here, but big media is not really calling that out right now for Auburn, right? Being robbed in one game, having a close game against A&M, and now A&M's number 5 in the nation. So to your point, Auburn's been able to do all this without really a strong offensive attack. If they're able, if they're able to kind of bottleneck this Georgia offense, we've seen it explode against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is terrible. We've seen it kind of be contained against in Alabama. Alabama's offense or defense is middle of the pack in the conference. Auburn's defense has been their strong suit. They haven't been using Jeremiah Cobb enough on the running attack. It's going to come down to what Jackson Arnold can do and then what this defense can do against Gunnar Stockton. I believe in this Georgia defense. They haven't done the best job creating pressure, but you're facing a guy who has not shown yet he's super comfortable in the pocket to get the ball to his playmakers.
Yeah. There's playmakers underutilized on both sides of the ball in this game. I think there's game plans coming into this. I think we see 2 different looks from 2 different teams that we haven't seen yet this year. Georgia needs to win this one bad. Auburn needs to win this one very, very bad. Final score predictions here. I got Auburn. Auburn 17-13.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to say 24-17 Georgia. I think if it's a close game, I'm going to favor Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart's probably lost less than 10 or 12 games over the last 4 or 5 seasons. I'm favoring Kirby Smart. It would have to be Auburn really shutting down this offense, and then Auburn being able to score points, which they struggled against with A&M. And A&M's defense to that point in the season hadn't looked that good. So I'm having a hard time seeing it, but I agree with your points.
I mean, the only touchdown that they scored in that game came off of a Mickey Mouse interception for, to put them 10 yards out from the end zone. That's the only way Auburn scored points in that game. I'm with you. Things have to change for Auburn to win this game. But I do think that the defense matches up well against Georgia's offense. We'll see what happens in this one. Anything else on this before we close out?
I think if I would say if this game is super close and Jackson Arnold's not doing it and the season's on the line, I would want to see the backup. I would want to see Deuce Knight. Put him in. Let's see it. Let's see if he can bring a spark. I mean, even Texas put their backup quarterback in for one play and he completed a good pass, right? At this point in the season, you've started the last 3 seasons 0-2 in the SEC. You're playing to win the conference. You didn't hire Hugh Freeze just to make bowl games. So if it comes down to that and the quarterback play is the weak point, I think you make a change, at least look at it. If it's a close game, Auburn could win it, but I got Georgia in this one.
I completely agree. I think we could see Deuce Knight in this game if things aren't going Auburn's way. Let us know what you guys think. Auburn fans, Georgia fans, SEC fans, those placing bets on the game. Is there something that you like in this one? Is there a lock? I'd love to tail a lock on this game. If you got something, let us know. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We continue to make content, previewing the games every week, doing recaps, putting our team of the week together, looking at the best players from the SEC. We'd love to see you there. Tune in, comment, engage. We'd love to talk with you all. I'm Hunter Ziesman, joined here by Randall Adet Jr. We are the new SEC podcast. Thanks for tuning in.